What's up, creative people? Welcome back. It's summertime. Yeah, we're still in lockdown. Boo. But you know, we're so lucky. We are so lucky. We are creative people. The sun is shining. There's gorgeous things to look at out there. So before we start our project, I would just like you to take 5 minutes. You can pause this video and just think about all of the things that you're grateful for. I mean, today I am grateful for the sun is shining and there's a really light breeze and all of the blossom is blowing gently. There's beautiful clouds. Lunch is cooking. I've been out for a lovely walk with my dog. So the real benefit of being in lockdown for me has been that it's given me a chance to just take a moment and just think, do you know, how lucky are we? I mean, it's not that difficult, is it, to stay at home and just to be with your family. But the real thing it's given me is an opportunity to just reconnect with nature and just to take a breath of fresh air. So one of the things I'm really lucky is that my husband's a really good cook, so he cooks for me all the time. But the thing is, I have to exercise a lot so I don't end up with 7 more chins when we come out of lockdown. So while I've been out looking at nature, I've just been thinking, wow, look at spring, look what it's done. Year after year, it starts all over again. It's a rebirth. How fantastic is that? So I'd like you to take blooms, spring, flora, fauna as a starting point of your project. Designers, artists, they look at nature time and time again. Nature is the best designer. Whether it's looking at the way that a shell is built up, an architect could look at that, or the way that an upturned flower has layer upon layer of petals. A fashion designer can look at that. So I think it would be really nice for us all to come together, to work together from the same starting point. Now I know that you're all doing different things. Some of you this will fall in really well with anyway, like Daisy and Phoebe who are doing natural forms. Some of you will have to adapt a little bit, like Jing and Kristin who are doing architecture, and perhaps Verity who's doing pollution. But I think if we all have this as a starting point and work in the same way, then we can adapt it and tailor make it to your individual projects as we go along. So I can't really see that there's going to be any problem, and I just think it's going to be a really positive thing to do. Okay, so our starting point, what I want you to do, your first lesson, after thinking, what am I most grateful for? 5 things. Take a moment. I want you to go outside. It might be raining when you watch this, it might be sunny, but I just want you to get outside and I want you to collect beautiful blooms, whatever you can find in the garden. Look at this, look at this. That grew in my garden. I mean, it's just beautiful. It was blowing in the wind. I just absolutely love it. So what I've been doing is I've been collecting all beautiful things like this. And I've been thinking very carefully about what you guys have got access to while you're on lockdown. And we've been doing a lot of home baking here. So I thought, oh, baking paper, perfect. So what I've been doing is trapping these pressed flowers in between greaseproof paper. Now I pressed the flowers first, just between these 2 sheets of paper, and then piled a lot of heavy books on top, so we should all have access to these 3 things: flowers, greaseproof paper, heavy books. Once they were flattened, I then varnished and then added another layer on top, so it's trapped in between like that. Now, if you haven't got access to varnish, you can use PVA glue. I have experimented with wax as well, but wax isn't quite as malleable. Now, this is quite, it's quite a funky little material to work with, really. I've quite enjoyed it. So it's quite malleable and it goes through the sewing machine. And if you haven't got a sewing machine, you can hand stitch it. So I've had a go at hand stitching. Like that, and I just think they're really lovely. I've also done calligraph printing. Calligraph printing just basically means squishing the form through a press and getting a print from the form directly. And I've got some nice prints as well, which I'm going to cut up and varnish and add to my dress. So the starting point for this project is just to go out collecting loads of different flora, fauna, pressing them. You need to get loads, as many as you can, as many as the heavy books will allow, and get loads on the go. Once they've been pressed, trap them in greaseproof paper. And greaseproof paper is about £2 in Sainsbury's. It should be readily available. You can use white tissue paper, but white tissue paper is a little bit more delicate, and this went through the machine really well. Once you've pressed them, you're going to varnish them so that they stay in, because obviously it is greaseproof paper, so you have to give it something quite substantial like PVA glue or varnish to make it stick. Now, if you can see behind me, I've started to make a dress, and I've started to manipulate. I've sewn all the pieces together like that, and I'm just doing a little basic dress with all my samples. I don't know how I'm going to expand on that. I might have a bit of a tray and I might put some print on it, or I might make a separate dress. Don't know yet. Now, you don't have to have a mannequin at home to make the dress. Mrs Mills has made a really fantastic video about how to make a very simple child's dress. So you could just work with paper cutouts and hang them on hangers. That would be really, really beautiful. As an influence, I think you should look at what fashion designers do. Like I said, they look at the wonders of nature time and time again. So I would like you to look at the Gucci Bloom campaign, and specifically at Alexander McQueen. Alexander McQueen, as you know, is one of my heroes. I love him so much. He was completely the little underdog. He only left school with 1 O level, which is GCSE to you guys, in art. He then went on to study suit cutting and making in Savile Row, which is where he really got his skills for how everything works architecturally, how things work around the body. So I'd really like you to look at Alexander McQueen. There's some really lovely asymmetric and the way they've worked with flowers and looking at that design. So we're all going to be working together. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you've got a mannequin or not. It doesn't matter if it fits in completely with your theme. I think it will do. So there's lots of things we can do. We can start to make papers, so we can make our own paper dresses. I've done a massive backdrop working with just very bright fluorescent fabric paints. So if you want to do something a bit louder, you can do both. You could work with both. You can work with lots of different print techniques. I'm going to be doing lots of demos for you so that you can access them when you want. So I've done some fabric manipulation ones, I've done some print ones, I've done little films of me making this lot. So hopefully you will be able to build up on the knowledge, a little bit of pattern cutting, a little bit of fabric manipulation, some print techniques, some trapping techniques. Bring them all together and make your own project. Now, people that are worrying like, how's that going to fit in my project? I think, so for instance, Verity, if you wanted to talk about pollution and you were looking at nature, you could always add a man-made object in there as well, trap a man-made object with like a hair slide or a cotton bud, or if you wanted to do that, you can do. Georgia doing Les Mis, you could You could make it so it's specifically French. You could look at French flowers. You could draw French flowers as well as putting English flowers in. I think that would work. I think this dress would work really, really well with Les Mis. Kristen and Jing, you're doing architecture. Now you can still look at the architecture of nature. You can still add, once you've made these papers, you can work architecturally with them in the form that you make. So I will send you little films and videos how you can do that as we go along. The most important thing to me is that we just keep going. You've got to stay positive. We've got to work together. We've got to connect. And I think it's really important that we work at have the same sort of starting point at the moment. So whether Eloise, you want to do something big and bright and bold, like flowers that were in style in the 60s, 70s, 80s. There's lots of different fashions and styles of flowers, but we've all got the same starting point. So please enjoy this project. Get outside. Let's be thankful for all the lovely gardens and lovely flowers, and spring is here. We are going to get through this. We are having to change the way that we're working, but hey, we can do it. We're Mortonians. We are going to make it work, because that is what we do. And you know, I think sometimes I'm coming out with the best work ever. It's making me really, really think about what I'm producing. So I think this is a real opportunity. So I hope you've enjoyed this little film. There'll be plenty more coming, and I will speak to you soon. Wishing you all well. Bye.